Greetings and welcome to the Equity.Guru Investor Roundtable. Like I said, Guru boys. It's Rob
nice.
down here in the corner with TK also living in the basement. We didn't pay our rent, so we're stuck down here. Upstairs, Galen, right above me, and in the far corner is the chart attack master, Mr. Vishal Vitura. And actually, we're going to start with him. We're talking about MWX on the Venture Exchange in Canada, in Toronto. MWX is Mineworx Technologies, based in Calgary, Alberta, under the leadership of Greg Pendura, who's the president, CEO, and chairman. This is definitely one of the more unusual companies that we have spoken about on the Investor Roundtable for a couple different reasons, but particularly because of catalytic converters. I'm sorry, what?
Yep.
Catalytic converters. Michelle, what the hell is going on with these people at MWX.V?
For sure, Rob. So Mineworx, it's a cyclical economy play, and it's about basically recycling palladium and platinum. And, I was in your position. I remember a few years ago, I went to some mining conference, and, I think if you guys know, I like my precious metals and I like my base metals. But a lot of people talk about platinum and palladium. And, I was like, okay, what's the use really of platinum and palladium? I know platinum, people consider it sometimes for jewelry and also as a precious metal, actually. I believe at some points it's more pricey, more expensive than gold per ounce. It might actually still be, but we'll take a look at that when we take a look at the charts. But essentially what platinum and palladium is used for is in catalytic converters, which are in your automobiles, in your cars. And what people don't know is that these basically are used to regulate exhaust emissions from your vehicle. So I guess in a sense, there is a bit of a clean play there with platinum and palladium, but the more you use, apparently the better it is for your emissions. And essentially, I've seen real experience of why Mineworx Technology is going to be valuable. I have a lot of friends who are mechanics. I remember going to their garage a few years ago. You see a lot of these old cars just basically out on the compound. Maybe where I live, this is why this happened. But essentially, my buddy told me that, hey, man, I had to put up some fences. I had to put up cameras. I'm like, why? And he's like, yeah, homeless people come and I see, their legs sticking out and they're basically stealing these catalytic converters. I'm like, why the heck would they be doing that? Hey, Vishal, haven't you seen the prices of platinum and palladium? They're skyrocketing right now. And basically, these people are ripping these out and taking out the platinum and palladium and basically selling it to bidders. So I've seen the real use of that. And basically, Mineworx, obviously, they have a better ethical way of recycling that platinum and palladium. And they have a technology to do so. And here it is, their processing technology. And currently, they do have a pilot program which is occurring in Tennessee. They are on the final stage, so stage 4 of that pilot program, which is actually the latest news here. And we should be seeing results of that this month. So that's a catalyst. Keep that in mind when we look at the charts, but I will pass it on to someone else, whoever wants to talk about Mineworx here.
Well, first of all, I'm just curious, and I don't even know if we should throw this out there because Galen will be out on the street right now busting in the cars. But I wonder how much you get for one catalytic converter in terms of palladium and platinum. That'd be interesting to know.
Well, basically what happens with
$5,
well,
$10,
no,
$100.
a little more than that. But the fact is that the biggest process is actually trying to extract it from said product. So mining is mining. These guys are mining the dump rather than mining the ground, although they do have a couple of projects in Spain that they can fall back on that have prospective elements towards iron ore and other products. Or other minerals, and wolfenite. It's used in the manufacture of steel and such. Anyway, Mineworx is starting something, or is starting to do something that has been in the works for a while. Probably about 10 years ago, I started hearing about companies that were actually going to scrap yards and getting these catalytic converters and taking out the platinum and palladium and recycling them on land, because basically we have between 2 and 12, I think, grams of each mineral in each catalytic converter. And you're talking about 27 million of these things coming free each year in scrap. So that's a lot. That's 254 million ounces or grams of this stuff just sitting out that can be readily reused and put back into more catalytic converters or applied elsewhere, rather than us having to open up more holes in the earth, which, regardless of how environmentally friendly you are, there's still a cost to it. So it would be better, much better, with this clean tech. I don't know if you would call it circular technology per se, but it is definitely clean tech, which allows us to not have to dip back into the earth again to get these minerals and be more, conscientious when we use it. Now, the problem was with most of this stuff is the extraction was a dirty process. In the beginning, much of it was used, and still right now is processed using smelters. And unfortunately, especially with diesel, there's oxidant catalysts in there and other materials that basically will put either gases within the furnace that will make it blow up, which isn't a great thing, and then also the toxins that are released in doing it that way. But what Mineworx has figured out is what they do is they grind up the elements. They take it out of the catalytic converter, both these filters, and they grind them up into a very fine sand. And then they put it through a chemical process that separates, a particulate process that separates the materials, and then they put it through a chemical process which further separates it, turns it into a concentrate. Then they send this concentrate to a refiner who then turns them into ingots or whatever. And they're hoping, that said, to get about a 90% extraction rate, which is, pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what they're using are organic elements, which are biodegradable, environmentally friendly. They're not like cyanide and sulfuric acid and other types of things which we usually use to leach out these products. They're using these other chemical compounds, and this is the thing that makes them a step different from everybody else. They've been at it for a while, as Vishal said. They are in their phase 4 of the validation process with their pilot plant. They disassembled it at the end or middle of October and had it shipped down to Tennessee, and they're now in their final stage to make sure. And right now, the final stage is to see if they can commercially ramp up their throughput and what kind of problems or challenges that's going to present and how they can get around that. So they're very close to commercialization as far as their process is concerned. I like the company because it's forward thinking in the sense that I think a lot of miners really should start considering the idea of recycling. We don't necessarily have to dip back into the earth for many of the elements that we currently get out of the earth. We can go back to the products that we have and get them out that way. We just need to figure out ways without having, little kids from China climb over mountains of electronic scrap and getting cancer doing it to try and extract these elements. We have to figure out ways to be able to do this, and these are one of the companies that are doing it. So this is something that I think is a future business. This is something you can invest in the long term. It's not, and it is a minor still, because as I said, it has 2 projects still in Spain, but I really like the technologies part of it. I think this is very interesting. And in considering of all the, the problems we've had with miners in the past, when it comes to the environment with Imperial Mines in BC a while back, poisoning half of the province. That's an exaggeration, but enough that we need to be able to deal with these chemicals that we're just producing and getting these minerals with. We have to find a way to be less impactful with our efforts. That's me.
Very nice. Now, certain singers sell platinum records.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. I believe
correct.
TK has sold a palladium record of some sort. It means 5 people bought it.
True.
What
Best
do you got?
seller.
What do you got? By the way, it is Mineworx with an X. You might have noticed as we were bouncing around the website there. It's Mine, MINEWORX, and it's MWX on the Venture Exchange. What's happening with this company, TK?
Awesome. Before I jump straight into the numbers, I wanted to point out something that's been happening with the stock over the last few months. And it's kind of pertaining to 2 things specifically, operational and legal. So the first thing is operational. They're about to, like Galen said, they're about to launch they hope by the end of this year, so Q4 2021, with their plant. The only thing that set it back was COVID delays because they source majority of their materials from China. So this delayed majority of the assembly. But they've said plans are underway now, so that's something that's been sorted out. But I think a big thing that's weighing on the stock is this e-waste joint venture with EnviroLeach. And this is an operation here in, well, I say here in Surrey, but here in BC. There was a joint venture between the two companies where they shared technologies together because it just made sense for them to outsource at the time where operations were. But they're kind of disputing that project right now. Some operational and financial stuff is going on where they weren't, EnviroLeach is not disclosing the financials for that joint venture. So yeah, there's some complications there. So in May, the company provided notice that it was exercising its put option for the joint venture, which kind of forces EnviroLeach to purchase the 20% stake that Mineworx has in this joint venture. So it kind of caused the market to languish, and I think the stock is trading down 20% or something like that year to date. But taking that picture and kind of understanding what's going on there, if you look at the actual balance sheet, the company is actually cash heavy. So they have $4 million in cash sitting in their books. They don't have much in assets since they're just ramping up. So they have close to $1 million in the evaluation assets and exploration assets. They also have $1 million in a lot of the intangible assets. So this is most of the tech that the company has. So you can look at the business as $4 million in cash, $1 million in tangible property, and $1 million in tech that it holds in its balance sheet. The other side of the balance sheet is pretty simple. They don't have any debt except $600,000 in notes that will probably expire with the EnviroLeach put option as well. And the only other thing they have there is lease liabilities. So it's just the property that they're on, they lease it. So they have those interest payments that are going through that. Sadly, because of accounting norms, they have to put it on their balance sheet as well. So that's their balance sheet. It's pretty simple. It's asset heavy on cash, nothing on the tangible asset side, just evaluation assets, and then very limited liabilities. On the income statement, there's not much to speak of since they haven't ramped up operations, but you notice that they are expending more cash on personnel, key personnel, and obviously they had a large investor filing fee recently because they went public, and that's really where they are on their financials. The company is still cash heavy, so most of the spending right now is just to ramp up for Q4 2021.
By the way, on a side note, any reaction to the name of the company, EnviroLeach?
Yeah,
not the best choice.
Not a turn on for me.
It kind of stands out.
All right, chart man, what's happening with these guys?
So just as TK said, the stock has been in a clear downtrend. Obviously, with that legal civil action, I guess, is weighing in. But I would say there is an opportunity here for people that maybe want to hold this for the long term. Perhaps some catalysts, like we said, maybe that civil suit is, finished, and also the Q4 pilot program news. If we hear a bit about that, there's a chance the stock pops. But we did hit all-time lows in March at 5 cents, and we're actually sitting at 7.5 cents right now. So, just 2 cents off of all-time lows there, and a possibility of this being the bottom here. I have an uptrend line here, and I've basically said that this could be what we like to call a cup and handle pattern. So you have the cup here in profile, you have the handle there on the right, but of course to trigger the handle there, you have to break above the 10-cent zone here. So until we break above 10 cents, this stock can just continue to range here. But again, under 10 cents, it probably looks like a bottom picker play here. Just very quickly, platinum is trading at $1,061 US. It looks like it's broken out, and it looks like it's in a new uptrend, just like gold and silver, actually. And believe it or not, palladium is trading at $2,158. So actually, yeah, much more than this is per ounce. Sorry, per ounce US dollars. So this is actually higher than gold. So palladium is the metal that the most expensive, I guess, metal out of the four: gold, copper, platinum, and palladium. And this sort of looks like a cup and handle. It looks very similar to the chart of Mineworx there. So maybe Mineworx could get a bump on a rising platinum and palladium, play, because when those are rising, people are probably going to look for sympathy plays. And hey, Mineworx deals with platinum and palladium, so that's a way to play the rising prices in platinum, palladium. Or, like we said, we have that catalyst in terms of some news about the civil suit or the pilot program.
Damn, it sounds like you can make some money off the catalytic converter. I mean, if that's what you're getting for an ounce.
Yeah,
you gotta start stealing some cars.
Yeah, but the trick is extracting it.
Well,
that's the ticket. It's
just give them the whole thing.
Well, I had a friend who did prospecting, and he actually brought me home a bunch of gold. And there was about an ounce worth of gold, but getting it out of the rock,
right?
Yeah.
You have to turn that over to somebody.
Yeah.
All right, Galen, how much you spending, if any, of my $7,500?
Well, okay, there's an interesting proposition here, but it's kind of a double-edged sword to a certain extent. Okay. I would probably drop in about, let's say, $3,500 right now. And the basic reason is that even though the company has very little debt and is cash heavy, it still has to really prove out the commercial aspect of its offering. And if it can do that, I'm off to the races. Now, there's also the aspect of these two properties that it has in Spain. I'm really only at this point investing in the technologies. I'm not even considering the properties. It's iron ore and wollastonite. There we go. Both of them are used for heavy construction, for big development infrastructure. And since the economy is in a bit of a, tailspin right now, and we don't really know how we're going to be going over the next decade or so, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of building, a lot of infrastructure. And I think it's probably more advantageous for these companies like Mineworx to turn inward and start getting stuff back out without having to go into the ground. So I'm investing in their technologies, not thinking about the mining. So $3,500 now, and then if it pans out and goes well, I'll dump the whole 75.
Oh,
wow. TK, what are you doing there?
This one, I think I'm going to go with zero. I can't put a finger on it, but I think the 5 years with the new business strategy focusing on clean tech, like Galen said, might take some time with some of the stuff that's been happening right now. It's definitely, there's a prospect for it. I just don't know how long the payback period would be. So zero would probably be the best bet. But I do like the company's focus on diversifying from, like Galen was saying, you have the tech side and the mineral explorations and assets in Spain. On top of that, you have a cash balance that's healthy, and you have intangible assets that are probably going to generate sales once commercializing takes place. And to note again, that's the end of Q4. So in a couple months, they'll announce what's happened on that front. So it's probably shorter than we think it would be.
Shell, what are you thinking?
I'm sitting on my hands on this one as well, Rob, but I'm going to look for that catalyst. And I think if we do get that break above 10 cents, then I'll get a bit interested. But honestly, right now, I'm actually playing palladium and platinum contracts. So in a different way, I like the metals, but I think with Mineworx, I'm just going to wait for that catalyst to get us above 10 cents. So zero for now, but if we do get that breakout and some good news on the pilot program, I think I would maybe be putting in 2,500, but that's still a wait and see.
All right, tell you what, we'll wait till the holidays. Maybe Galen will be buying everybody dinner. This thing, of course, it's my money to start with, but you know.
So I should be buying you dinner then.
Yeah, damn it. You're buying me dinner anyway.
I will say though, the market does have a tendency to overweigh legal news on a stock.
Yeah.
They tend to
So-
focus more on the legal form when
Right.
the company is going through legal proceedings,
So when it-
especially if that has to do with put options or joint ventures and the operations. So I think a lot of what's happening with it is probably short term.
So I was gonna say when it cleans up, you might be off to the races.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, very loquacious, I might add, on this edition of the Roundtable.
Thanks for hanging out.
Fat one today. It is Mineworx Technologies. It is MWX on the Venture Exchange in Canada. Greg Pendura is the president, CEO, and chairman. He looks a lot like the actor Jeff Goldblum. I mean, he really does. It's like the Fly, Big Chill, Jurassic Park. That guy. He looks just like Greg Pendura. Don't take what we tell you and expect it to be guaranteed. You have to do your own homework, your own research, people out there. So no previous results guaranteeing future performance. Not that you'd really want the same thing out of this company as it stands right now. You're kind of hoping it goes uppity-duppity. But only one of us is believing that right now. So again, do your own research, please. And we'll catch you next time on the next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable. Cheers.